I've been feeling nostalgic for older films lately, so recently I decided to do some digging and see if I could find any that I haven't seen. Thankfully, there are still plenty out there, and one that caught my eye was Mizuchi, or Death Water. Silly sounding name, but no, the plot will probably sound kinda silly too, but let's go with it. So, Mizuchi, using the characters for Water and Ghost, was released in 2006 and written and directed by Yamamoto Kiyoshi. He seems to have only done a few films over the years, although many of them appear to be horror. This is also based on a novel of the same name, but from what I can tell, they're almost nothing alike. At any rate, the film opens with some text telling us about Mizuchi, or Death Water, or Water for the Dead. Evil lurks in the water, and it possesses those who drink it. Keep this in mind. We then get a look into the next important part of the upcoming plot. Basically, do we, as people, all see the same thing? How can we know that what we are seeing is real? Can you cure yourself of this by getting rid of your eyes? An intriguing question that surely won't come up anytime soon. And then we get the third important plot point setup of the film. As a woman is driving, we get an earthquake alert on the radio. Earthquakes have been hitting the Kanto area, and while they're not huge, they do seem to be causing some damage here and there. Weird. So, let's get into the film. Kyoko, a journalist for a big Tokyo newspaper, is visiting Yomohira Home for the elderly. The place is pretty run down and honestly looks abandoned. And inside she finds an elderly man with his eyes missing. Some bloody scissors nearby seem to suggest he did this to himself. And near his body she finds a mysterious note that says Mizuchi. That was the start of this nightmare, she tells us. First time around, it's incredibly unlikely you'll connect all of these things the movie throws at you in the first few minutes. But if you remember them, what happens throughout the rest of the film shouldn't be much of a surprise. And it's honestly pretty solid storytelling. We soon find out that Kyoko is a divorced mother, caring for her son Yohei by herself. She claims her husband, Yuichi, just up and left one day, and she's not sure why. We then cut to him and are given the likely reason for why immediately. He seems to suffer from memory loss, and he never told Kyoko about it. Neither he nor his doctor are sure how long he has until full-blown dementia sets in and he loses all sense of himself and reality as he knows it. He doesn't want to put her through that, and so he left. And if you remember that opening statement of, how can we be sure that what we see is actually real, then this should again help point you towards the journey we're about to take. The story really kicks into gear when Professor Morikawa, one of Kyoko's acquaintances, suddenly passes away. He seemed to have changed greatly shortly before his death, becoming homeless and then stabbing himself in the eyes. Wait, we know someone who died in this exact same way. Turned out Morikawa was researching something right before he died. You guessed it, Shinimizu, or Water for the Dead. He left behind some notes with an odd message. Don't drink the water for the dead. I mean, with a name like that, I'm not going to, but thanks for the warning. There's also a photo of a high school girl in there that we'll get to later. Whether you know it or not at this point, pretty much everything you need to know about the story is now in play, and we're only 10 minutes into the film. We then get another radio report of yet another earthquake, and this one has unearthed some old shrine ruins. Uh-oh, there's no way this can be good, especially in a horror movie. As Kyoko and one of her colleagues drive home from the funeral, she oddly asks him if it's okay to take her medicine. Of course, he has no problem with that because why would he? But this medicine sounds oddly crunchy. Again, you probably won't think much of it at the time, but keep it in mind. By this point, Kyoko has everything she needs to start a full-blown investigation. Because if you watch J-horror released around the late 1990s, early 2000s period, well, that was the style of the time, as they say. After doing a little online research, she digs up some lore. Shinimizu is the final water given to someone who is about to die, and it's given by family members in order of closeness. This doesn't especially help, and another colleague wonders if maybe Shinimizu is a local dialect or something. Cue a flashback to 6 months ago. Kyoko went to visit Morikawa to get some comments on a case she was working on. Once they're done, he congratulates her on giving birth and she asks him what he's working on. "Have you ever heard of Yomotsu Hirasaka?" he asks. At this point, my ears immediately sprang up. I lived just a short distance from this actual location. For those unaware, Yomotsu Hirasaka is a location from Japanese mythology that's said to be the boundary between our world and Yomi, or the world of the dead. Common belief is that this location can be found in Higashi Izumo, near Matsue City, not too far from where I lived. At any rate, Morikawa is particularly interested in Yomi, which can be found at Yomotsu Hirasaka. Now, Yomi in Japanese uses the characters for yellow and fountain, and this is said to come from Chinese beliefs that referred to the realm of the dead as the Yellow Springs. And he's taking that fountain part literally. Maybe you can already see how all of this is starting to tie together. So, according to the rumors, if you drink from this Yomi fountain, then you'll die. Why? Well, it's connected to the other side, so you're literally drinking the water of the dead. Kyoko thinks it's all just a myth, but he thinks there might be some truth to it, and the locals, in their dialect, call it Mizuchi. Hey, he said the thing! And Mizuchi means cursed water, or water for the dead. Next, we meet 2 high school girls, one of them being the girl from the photo in Morikawa's diary. Her friend seems to have an incredible thirst that can't be sated. This reminds her of another classmate who had the same symptoms, and then ended up stabbing her own eyes out. Naturally, her friend doesn't want to believe the same thing will happen to her, but we all know how this is going to end. Her friend goes home, can't stop drinking, and seems to be losing her memory about stuff. Things take a turn for the worse when she realizes she drank almost the entire fish tank, including the stuff that was in it. Ew. She's blacking out and doing a bunch of stuff she can't remember. And of course, she freaks out and stabs her eyes out with some broken mirror shards. Now, thankfully, Kyoko's ex-husband works for the water department, because of course he does. All these people who keep dying, they have 2 things in common. They drink a hell of a lot of water before they stab themselves in the eyes and die. She wants his help, thinking maybe there's a virus or something in the water, but naturally he's not too big on the idea that water, tap water in particular, is somehow killing people. Kyoko then meets with the high school girl, Yumi. She wasn't working with Morikawa, he was trying to help her. She can see ghosts, and also people keep dying around her, and they were trying to figure out why. Sounds silly, but when she learns that Morikawa is now also dead, well, she reacts accordingly, tearing out of the building like a bat out of hell. And so, the movie takes us on the standard investigate the curse and figure out why everyone's dying storyline that was so common at this time. If you've taken in everything I've detailed so far, then you can probably smell what the movie's got cooking, and it's actually rather decent. They're ultimately unable to find any scientific reason why all these people keep dying this way. but they all seem to be located in areas that share the same water source. The same area where the ruins of the ancient shrine was just unearthed by earthquakes. And this water source also happens to lead to a dam in a place called Yomohira. Surely that name is just a coincidence. Anyway, spoilers for the ending here, so skip ahead if you'd rather not hear about the ending. Yuichi soon comes to a horrifying discovery. His memory loss isn't dementia. You guessed it, he has partaken of the forbidden water as well. Realizing that he's about to die either way, he begs his doctor to do a live autopsy on him. Yes, you heard that right. No, I don't know why he has to be alive for that either. Naturally, his doctor thinks he's lost his mind, which he kind of has. But either way, he somehow convinces him to do it, and they travel to an old clinic in the middle of nowhere so as not to get caught. But the doctor leaves a note for Kyoko to find, because he really doesn't want to dissect his patient while he's still alive. But Kyoko arrives too late. Yuichi is dead. The doctor wasn't able to find anything. His death was meaningless. In fact, all of this was meaningless. The cursed water is out there in the dam, in the city's water system, and people are drinking it as we speak. More people will die, and there's no way to stop it. Kyoko has been drinking bottled water all this time, but when she goes to feed Yohei, he's missing from his cot. How could a baby go missing? Someone rings the doorbell and Kyoko gets a horrifying surprise. Yohei's head drops out of the mailbox. Except, not really, because Yohei doesn't exist. And when she picks up the now crying Yohei from his bed, there's nothing there but small crumbly pieces of something white that look like bone. That same medicine Kyoko has been crunching on all this time. Oh dear. Yes, it seems this whole time Kyoko has been drinking the cursed water as well, and one of her colleagues arrives to check on her, just in time to see her jump from her balcony. Just like everyone else in the film, what she has been seeing perhaps isn't quite the same reality that everyone else has been seeing. We've just been seeing her point of view this whole time. Her baby doesn't exist. And realizing that, she jumped. There's no happy ending here. Pretty much everyone we meet dies, with most of their deaths being entirely meaningless. Because that's part of the curse. Only Yumi, the high school girl who can see the dead, is ironically left alive, with now the only thing she can see, after having blinded herself, is those same ghosts still. She's left in a state of living hell. I guess the other side has a vague sense of dark humor. Now, at the time this film came out, of course, vengeful spirits were all the rage thanks to Sadako and Kayoko. And so, in an attempt to stand out amongst the masses, this film instead chose to be a supernatural horror film without a single ghost. And it's true, there are no yurei in this film. Instead, it tries to make you fear something we literally can't live without: water. As I'm sure you know by now, Japanese ghosts have a strong connection to water, so it's a natural fit that you could tell a sort of ghost story without ghosts using water. Water is not just strongly connected to us, here in the living world, as something we literally need to survive, but it's connected to the other side as well, to the dead. So what would happen if those two worlds united through water? What would happen to us, here in the land of the living? Well, as this movie tries to show, it's probably not going to be pretty. Now, the story isn't without its flaws. In fact, it has some major ones. First and foremost, the movie never even attempts to explain a connection between drinking the cursed Yomi water and hallucinating things that don't exist. Why does it cause you to not just have memory loss, but also see things that aren't there? Who knows? The movie doesn't ever address it. It's just creepy, I guess. If you want something memorable, then having a curse where people die by stabbing their eyes out is pretty effective. But the movie fails by never giving us even a hint as to why this water would make you want to do that. A pity. Also, if the water has infected the Yomohira Dam and is presumably spreading out into all nearby areas, why are more people not affected by this? We can assume that the people we see in the movie aren't the only ones dying because of it, but the movie doesn't ever make mention of mass-scale deaths across Tokyo, or people all across the city suddenly stabbing their eyes out. Again, it seems to have been left as an afterthought. And on that note, when Yuichi suddenly realizes that he has been drinking the cursed water, and that's why he has all these memory blanks, there's oddly one part of the curse that's left out. The insatiable thirst. He's not shown to be suffering from that. Did they just forget that part? Again, who knows? We can also say the same for Kyoko, although this part could perhaps be hand-waved away by all the water bottles in her apartment, of which she has many because she knows the tap water is tainted. Maybe she has been drinking everything in sight, but the movie never shows us that. And when they've spent all movie positing that as a key element of the curse, well, it's a little shoddy not to have the two main characters fall victim to it too. Also, we can have the surprise of, oh my, they've had the curse all this time too. Overall, I found Mizuchi to be a solid, average film. Not the most amazing thing I've ever seen, not the worst thing I've ever seen. Right there in the middle. It has some great ideas, and I love that it decided to tackle the idea of supernatural horror in a time where yurei were all the rage, and do so by not having a single ghost. The mythological aspect is great, and their exploration of water and what might happen if it was tainted by the other side honestly opens up some great avenues to be explored. But it's not perfect, and it seems to forget some of its own rules at times. It's also not the most surprising ending, and some may be upset with how the main characters ultimately died pretty meaningless deaths, and in the end, nothing was solved. The water is still out there. People will keep dying. Kyoko's investigation was for nothing. But a lot of Japanese horror ends without anything being solved, so if this isn't your first foray into that field, that part will probably just be a mild annoyance at best. But if you're looking for some of that old school, early 2000s-ish J-horror that still has the distinct mood and feel of the time, this is honestly not a bad film to watch. Keep expectations in check, and enjoy a rare horror film that delves into mythology, rather than angry spirits. But what did you guys think of this one? Have you seen Mizuchi yourself? If so, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys again next time.